Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you check out the Discord channel linked in the description below. You can find updates there, join the community, chat with other traders and myself as well. So if you are looking to join the community, go check it out. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is well. What's up, Mo? Welcome to the stream. Good morning. As always, guys, we'll go through the USD side of things first. Take a look at the dollar, USD majors, gold and silver. Of course, any requests, let me know. Drop it in the chat. Any time frames you're looking at, any particular markets as well, drop in the chat. And of course, we shall go and take a look. But the first thing is first, we have the dollar, which has been very, very bearish since we last spoke. Price did end up rejecting the highs here. I was looking to see if price is going to break through this zone, but it didn't. Price respected the level pretty well. Just make sure we can see that. There we go. So yeah, price came into this level yesterday, respected it very well. USD became very, very weak in the afternoon, and a lot of the USD major pairs reacted to that. And we had a big bearish engulfing candle, which closed at 6 p.m. UK time. And that's kind of giving us the continuation. So it looks like at this point, price has formed another lower high. And we are racing back down to the lows. We're almost there at the moment. The lower highs we've been printing look to have continued. And the trend looks like it's still on its way back to lows. Again, as I've said, I haven't been a bear really with USD. I haven't really been looking to sell the market because we've been quite corrective. And despite this bearish move, it still doesn't really give me much enthusiasm to be looking to short the market as well. I know we're looking very bearish at the moment. Probably will see price go and push through the lows. But until I see some overwhelming momentum come back into the market, similar to what we had over here, I'm just going to be buying my time because we probably will stay corrective. That up move will probably happen at some point in time. It could still be a couple of weeks away potentially. But again, as I've said earlier, I think on the lower time frame, shorts have been really good for dollar. We talked about some longs in euro, longs in pound as well. But I've just been waiting for the buying opportunities, which since we haven't broke through that level, isn't there yet. The bears are still very much in control. So at this moment in time, I think again intraday looks good. We are back below this area, which has proven to be some really sturdy support and resistance. Once, twice, resistance over there, support again. So from an intraday perspective, I think shorts still look good, especially if we can see a pullback at some point this week. And I think a continuation back into the lows is a likely move there for the dollar. So pullbacks maybe with an hourly or even 30 or 15-minute chart might find some nice entries to take advantage of that and a push back into the lows. But it's a very decisive move there yesterday for the dollar. Weakness looks like it's set in the market quite well now. So I think likely we'll probably see the continuation of that. And that probably will take us back to the lows and probably some new lows as well, beyond 97.6. So intraday pullbacks, I think, are the best bet here for the dollar and more downside beyond that. Looking at Euro USD, again, we respected that area kind of in sync with what the DXY did. This was the area where we had the trend line coming to the market as well. I said price needs to break through this before I can start to look to short Euro USD. We didn't. We formed kind of like a big double bottom there again. Price respected it very well. Of course, we had that strong close, which lined up with the USD becoming weak. And we have rallied since then. It looks like price is more or less back at highs as well. So again, looks like Euro USD probably will pluck the highs and see some new highs this afternoon, potentially. Momentum is looking very strong. I don't think we'll just turn around straight away. So I do think we'll likely take up the highs. But again, I need momentum to come into the market in order for me to be looking for buys again for Euro. If we go and take up the highs well, maybe see a strong move like this with impulsive candles, then maybe I look to try and continue it. But if it's another half-hearted break to the upside, we can very much pull back swiftly after taking out the highs. And that kind of continues this corrective move, which again will mean a push to the downside eventually. So Euro USD still very bullish at the moment, still respected support well. Trend line still held, so that keeps the market bullish and likely take up the highs there. So probably still more upside expected. If Euro was the pullback, I would say keep an eye on this high here. That could again be a nice intraday opportunity. Very strong move to the upside after respecting lows. If we were to pull back and retest this area, I think that would be a smart place for a buy intraday. Push back to highs and probably beyond in terms of target. So Euro USD looking very, very strong as well. Pound USD, same situation. We essentially held the daily level. This is the level I said if the daily does break through, then I can be bearish and looking for a retest. But no, that wasn't the case. We had a bit of a weird gap as the market opened up for the week. Technically did gap below the level, but momentum shifted and we did close back above, on the daily chart. Very strong rejection, and it never really broke underneath this level with conviction there. The 4-hour candle did provide a bit of a wick and we pulled back up. So pound USD respecting key level very well, looking bullish since then as well. Looks like we're pushing back into resistance. If this means business and we do take up the highs with some momentum, with some with an impulsive move, then possibly some buys could look good here for pound. I'm being careful because of where we are situated, trading at major highs. Last time we were trading at major highs and we just took them out. You can see we did see some continuation, but the market did have a pretty big pullback. Now in that kind of same area where again, another big pullback could be on the horizon. So I need to see some real strength if I'm going to continue to buy pound. We have respected the level very well, so that's good to see from a buy perspective. But as we approach resistance, I need to see that momentum continue, and there could be some nice break and retest opportunities. I mean, that's what we were speaking about last week or the week before. If price can break this consolidation to the upside well, simply just looking for the retest and the continuation. Of course, we didn't see that. Price pushed back into the lower range. Perhaps now we could see the breakout and perhaps the continuation. All I'm looking for is just a bit of strength there above the highs. We're seeing strength now, yes, but I need to see that continue above the highs for pound USD. Dollar CAD not looking as bearish as you probably would expect. You're seeing now the USD pairs seeing a lot of momentum. Euro pound, USD CAD is looking bearish, but I think CAD is also a bit weak at the moment as well. So I'm not seeing as crazy of a move. But I did say there's two areas I'm looking to short the dollar USD CAD from. This area being one. So now that we've got that reaction, I'm looking to see if we can come up, retest it, possibly form a lower high, and then get the short. That's a nice first initial reaction. I'm looking to see if we can pull back, confirm things, and find some entries off the back of that. Because essentially all I'm looking at is another lower high for dollar CAD. Because if I scoot to the daily chart, you've still got these major swing highs, 1, 2, 3. There's potentially fourth there as well. And you could probably expect to see a push back into the low end at 1.342. So the way I see it, dollar CAD still trending bearish. Of course, we did tap into this bullish area of demand where price was briefly sitting. Then we saw a big rip to the upside. Now we tested that same area again, which of course gave us that initial reaction. But we have still been bearish. We have still been putting in these lower highs. So I'm looking to see if we can find the next one for another push back into lows. So I am looking for entries on the double top for a big sell back until 1.355. So dollar CAD, I'm going to keep a close eye on the rest of the week. Aussie dollar, we did see a nice push down, but price reversed very aggressively. We broke out the channel and then we shot to the upside very aggressively. Of course, with that US weakness, I was not expecting price to push up so aggressively. I was looking for a lot more downside before looking to buy this one back up. But it looks like USD strength is kind of really coming to the market now, and Aussie dollar has definitely reacted strongly to that. I did say keep an eye for the retest of this area for some shorts, but didn't see much of a rejection. Price just broke through with ease pretty much, and now we're back within the range. So at this point, this to me looks like a really big fake out. The market is still within the corrective nature of the range. There might be some nice buying opportunities on a pullback and a retest of that zone, especially on like an intraday chart, like an hourly chart. pullback retest, somewhat of a big inverse head and shoulder pattern, left head, right shoulder, and then you could be looking at some buys at that area. So the way I see it, yeah, Aussie dollar looking quite bullish. Yes, USD is quite weak as well. Still within the channel, looking at this as a big fake out. So if we do push back into the highs here, I am still going to be looking to short Aussie dollar because essentially the channel is still continuing. So I still expect price eventually to break lower. And if I see sufficient rejection at the high, that would be enough to get into a short. But in the meantime, I would say keep an eye on some buys on a retest of the low of the channel. I think that's a smart place for a buy. New Zealand dollar, same situation, very strong push back up again. We broke out the channel. This one had a very big move to the downside, to be honest. We didn't quite hit my target, which were the lows here. But we did see a substantial break of the channel. We got about 80% of the way to the lows before price, of course, had this aggressive rejection. But again, with these kind of V-shaped patterns, impulse down, impulse up, you tend to expect continuation. So I do think we will push back to highs there, 0.608, and probably beyond that as well. You know, there's a fairly big level around here, but price is not really respecting it too much at the moment. So the way I see it, V-shape reversal, expecting some type of correction, but a continuation back to highs and beyond them as well. Not really seeing a clear buy opportunity like Aussie dollar in terms of the break and retest. But yeah, I would expect more upside for ends the USD as well. And in terms of gold, gold's looking pretty bearish. I did get long on gold, but unfortunately did get taken out of the trade. I did buy after this candle close because we did break out of the channel, but unfortunately momentum just didn't sustain. And price is now breaking to the downside and breaking through the trend line as well, which again doesn't necessarily make me bearish, but it does put me off looking to buy gold again, because the whole expectation with gold is that, okay, we've got some bullish structure here. I'm simply looking for that to continue, and I'm looking for another higher low and price to respect the trend line, see a push back to highs, and of course eventually the all-time highs. The fact that that momentum failed and now we're breaking to the downside is a bit of a contradiction. Again, technically we still got this low here, so price could still pull back, maybe even double bottom here before pushing up, but it wasn't as good as an opportunity as it once was. So I think I will back away from gold. Again, I'm still bullish on the pair, still looking for a push back to all-time high. I don't have a clear-cut setup. It might be a nice bounce off this low here, but I would keep it fairly intraday, not looking for anything too crazy. I think 3,300 is still a nice place for a buy, but if you can push it back into resistance around here, I think that'll be a great trade to call it a day. Of course, you can leave positions to run. You never know with gold, it might rally a lot further, but we've lost that confluence, so the buys are not looking as good. But silver, I'm still a big fan of. I think there's still a lot more upside for silver. I know silver's looking very weird as well. I can pretty much almost chalk that to a consolidation. It would make sense, to be honest. But I still like the level below us here for silver. Very, very nice level, just below 35. We had a strong break of that not too long ago, and we haven't come back for a retest. So I still like the idea of silver pushing to the downside. Maybe now that gold's looking a little bit bearish, silver will see a bit downside as well. And hopefully we can see some upside, a push back into the high at 37.28, and maybe we see the big move back to 40, which is still my longer term targets for silver as well. But yeah, USD being pretty weak. You expect maybe gold and silver to rally a bit, but we haven't really seen that reaction at all, to be honest. In fact, gold's actually looking bearish, so that correlation is not really adding up at the moment. Still very bullish on gold and silver as a whole. Gold, not a fan of the opportunity anymore. Silver still looks very good. Just need to see if price can actually get to support before buying. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD. Looking very weak. Looks like more weakness is yet to come. Probably can expect that for the remainder of the week. We'll see how that affects gold and silver, but at the moment, not much. Okay, where was I? What's up, Dimar? Good morning. Hope you're well. Follow the trend. What's up? Hope you're well. Gold looking good, finally had that pullback. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a bit too deep for myself. I didn't want to see price break for the trend line. Again, I'm still bullish, so I would still view this as a pullback. But the fact that it has lost that confidence has put me off the position a bit. I mean, I still do think some buys look good at the low here. But I would be a little bit more conservative with targets. I think with gold, yes, the overall market is still bullish, so still keeping positions to trail and holding on positions just in case we do get back to all-time highs and further. It's still a smart move, but I would suggest monitoring that trade very carefully around 3,400, as it's proven to be a very steady level of resistance. But we have lost some confidence with that trend line there. So things are getting a little bit awkward, especially if we break the low here. I don't want to see gold break the low. If gold does break the low here, again, I'm not saying necessarily the market is bearish, but we could see a bit of a counter trend move. Maybe we just push back to lows here, then eventually go bullish later on. So that still could, very well be the case, but that might give us sell opportunities in the meantime before some buys later on. That is if we do break the low. So I definitely want to see price do that. But yeah, I'm still long-term bullish for gold. Gold has to do a lot for me to become an actual bear, because this is the trend we're following. So there has to be quite a reaction for me to become a bear on gold. But yeah, overall, not a fan of the trend line break, I must say. Okay, so we'll go take a look at oh, what's up, Ammon? Welcome to the stream, hope you're well. Take a look at Aussie yen. Sure, we'll take a look, no problem. Yep, we just went through gold. Rexis, what is up? No, a lot of people talking about gold today. I don't think you did miss the gold analysis. If you have, let me know again. But yes, we'll take a look at Aussie yen, Euro Aussie Mo, no problem. What's up, Pavinator? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yes, I did see the massive move in Aussie dollar, bear move and bull move. Had a big sell-off, but price completely reversed and turned bullish. Didn't hit my plan. Still waiting for 0.62 entry. So close yet so far. Yeah. Again, you're gonna have to be patient, but sometimes price doesn't quite hit the levels that you're looking for, and price potentially moves away from them and becomes and continues a trend potentially. That could be the case with Aussie dollar. I was looking to buy around 0.625, so slightly above where you're mentioning, and price didn't quite get there either. I was looking around here. Let's make sure we can see that. There we go. So I was looking around there, lines up with some areas here in the 50% of the fib. But yeah, price kind of got like 40% of the way there before absolutely reversing. With that situation, Aussie dollar looks like it probably will continue higher. We're still within the corrective nature of this channel, so I still think selling opportunities look good up at the highs. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if we actually do come back to these prices or not. What's up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yeah, actually, people did mention yesterday, follow the trend. I have no idea what's the situation. Apparently, it's kind of just my mic. Apparently, the chart is fine, but my mic was having some issues yesterday. And looks like it's having some issues today. Let me switch the mic back and forth. That might help. But yeah, I have no idea what the situation is, to be honest, because my internet is fine. I think, yes, it is. So yeah, I'm not too sure what the issue is. But yeah, I think it's just the mic, so it might be a situation with that. Anyway, let me go through Aussie yen and we'll go through gold as well. But yeah, the yen pairs have been interesting as well. But Aussie yen, nothing really's happened with this pairs of late, because we've got two weak currencies, mostly Aussie and the yen. So they've pretty much cancelled each other out, and we're looking very, very sideways. So if we do kind of continue that, I do expect yen to be the overall weaker currency. I do think we'll probably have a push to the upside, kind of following what the other yen pairs are doing. So I do think price can still push up back to highs as well. I'm not really seeing any opportunities to take advantage of that. In price right now is stuck at resistance here, so I wouldn't really be looking to try and buy that. Despite the fact I do expect price to break higher, I wouldn't necessarily look to try and buy that. There might be a quick kind of lower time frame break and retest opportunity there to trade it back to the highs. I would suggest probably keep an eye on maybe like the 30-minute chart for that, just to really drop down and refine the entry, and make sure that the risk reward is decent as well. Might be something there on a lower time frame to look at, but yeah, that's the best I've got with Aussie yen for now. In terms of the bigger move, it really depends what we do in reference to this level on the daily chart. If we do go and break through that level, we might see a very nice counter trend move, price potentially come and attack some of these areas around 98, 99. But the way I see it, it looks like price has kind of bottomed out with this very aggressive sell-off, and we could be seeing somewhat of an uptrend. So I do think Aussie yen has room to the upside. I do think eventually price will probably break this level, but I'll wait for it to happen before I really confirm that. You want to see the break happen first, and then of course we can talk about following the breakout. But for now, at least looking for price to come back and retest resistance there around 95.6. So that's the plan there with Aussie yen in terms of the short term. But yen still looks relatively weak. I know we've had a bit of a pullback there, but I still think yen can still see some more upside as well. Okay, just the mic and beginning of the stream, your camera's lagging, but charts are fine. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea what the situation, because with the internet, the chart is moving fine. So that means the internet connection has to be okay. It might be a connection with the mic and the camera, which is nothing to do with the internet, but I don't know, some issue with the mic. Might have to check with my mic and maybe get a new one, to be honest. But then the camera as well, so I'm not too sure. How about BTC? Reaction to 4 looks like a good sell area. Oh yeah, we did have a strong reaction for BTC and some cryptocurrencies as well. I'll take a look in a second. But yeah, as I mentioned for gold, still very bullish on the pair, but since we have lost that trendline confluence, it has put me off buying the pair. I was looking for this breakout here to continue back to highs, but momentum pretty much failed on the close of that candle, and now price is breaking the low of the trend line and pushing back to the low of this swing here. So this is kind of like a very important region, as I mentioned before. If price does break through that, in terms of the immediate price action, the shorter term price action, I would be bearish on gold. Yes, longer term still very bullish, but I would be bearish if you do break the low. So as we do approach support here, I think this is a nice place for a buy. Monitor price action. Let's see if we can get some strong rejection. If we do, I think yes, nice place for a buy. But I would watch out as we do approach 3,400. That's the first kind of meaningful level of resistance where maybe price could still very much sell off from. So I would say bank profits there, or at least trail a stop or something like that. That would make sense. And then sure, we can probably push back to these highs, all-time highs, so on and so forth. So yeah, for now, gold still bullish, but yeah, lost the trend line confluence, so lowers the quality of the setup slightly. But we'll see how we react with 3,300, because that will make or break the trade really. If we can see some suitable rejection there, yes, buy still look good. If price, of course, just plummets and breaks through, then I would definitely back away from the buys for now, at least anyway. I would expect a pullback and then some more downside if that was the case. In terms of BTC, very bullish on this one yesterday, because of course we did have that kind of fake out on the daily chart. So as you can see, massive wick to the downside on Sunday. Price at one point was looking like it was breaking through support, but that didn't last. Price provided a nice wick through the zone. We pull back up. So I did say yesterday, keep an eye for a retest of the zone, which we did see one, but it wasn't kind of clear cut, to be honest. With this kind of wick, it kind of gave you the retest. If you kind of dropped to like the 50-minute chart, sort of a break and retest there, but definitely not a clear cut one. But ever since we got the wick rejection on Sunday, been favoring price to push up. We have kind of hit the 50% mark of where I was mentioning yesterday. So if I remove this, so the 50% mark, more or less in this area, as I said, there would be a good target for BTC. As you can see, we have just about tapped into that area. So again, 50% mark is not necessarily a big level of support resistance. It's just the reference point between two highs. So it's not like an actual meaningful level. It's just the point that, okay, if you are long from the low of the range, 50% of the range is an area where you can be fairly confident that price will get there. You can book partials, remove risk, and then see, okay, will we get to the upper end of the range? We've got a bit of a trend line at play here. Maybe we might push into 108.6 potentially before selling off, or maybe we might push back to the highs there. You know, we're not to know. But now that we have hit the 50%, I would expect price to potentially slow down a little bit. We still do have these lower highs, so I still do worry a little bit for BTC. You know, push into this area, we could still very much sell off again. Again, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to short Bitcoin. I would still be a buy of this one as a whole. Momentum's still up, support is still holding. So I wouldn't be looking to sell Bitcoin, but I can definitely see why you would be coming back into an area like this, 108,600, where we do have resistance to our left, a trend line there. We've got prior lower highs. This would be a prime place for another lower high to form and possibly another swing to the downside. After all, we are creating lower lows as well. So who's to say we can't go and put a lower high in and potentially go and see a new low. So BTC sells, I think, are a little bit on the aggressive side of things because it is a bit counter trend. You are going against momentum. The overall market is still bullish. So for that reason, it would be a slightly bit more of an aggressive trade. But you do have some confidences lining up. Resistance from the high trend line resistance. The fact that we are seeing lower lows and lower highs does that up. And we could potentially see another one. I'll just wait to see how price reacts within this area. And yeah, shorts could be looking good for BTC. You mentioned the 100 EMA. Is price testing that at the moment? Looks like price is slightly breaking above. Yeah, it looks like price is slightly breaking above the 100 EMA. Unless you meant the SMA. But the EMA was slightly above the 100. I probably wouldn't be looking to try and sell that unless we were to close back below it. Then that would be an entry signal. But yeah, preferably I would like price to push higher because again we had a very aggressive bullish reaction there, which not really a textbook V-shape reversal, but similar characteristics: strong move down, strong move back up. I wouldn't really want to be the first person to try and sell this back down again. So I would prefer to see us kind of slowly lose that momentum, push back up into an area like this, and then try my luck up there. I think that would be a better place, better area for a stop loss as well, better risk to reward for a push lower, and that way you kind of avoid the potential continuation of that momentum. So if we do close back below the 100, maybe there is a trade there. Personally, I would still wait for a push higher up just because of the aggressive nature of how we pushed up, and knowing the fact that the market is still bullish as a whole, meaning that when we are seeing aggressive bullish momentum come back into the market, I would be a bit cautious stepping in front of that because it might be a continuation for BTC to rally back to highs as well. So I can see the sell idea. I would wait a little bit higher, 108,600. Then yeah, a push back into support makes sense. And we might go and see new lows as well. But yeah, I would be a bit careful. DT, what is up? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Dan, what is up? Oil and dollar yen. Oil had a really big sell-off yesterday. I saw that when I woke up this morning, huge sell. But we'll definitely take a look at oil, dollar yen as well. Knut, we'll take a look at dollar CAD. No problem. Okay, yeah, 100 SMA. That makes sense. Because there's quite a difference between the EMA and the SMA. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so we are rejecting it. I would still wait for like momentum to creep into the market before trying to sell that. We're still quite flat down the hourly chart. But if we could probably see like a nice bearish engulfing, that could be a nice sign for a sell. But yeah, it's funny how the SMA is above price, rejecting it, and the EMA is below price, rejecting it as support. Yeah, that can be quite a difference between the EMA and the SMA, because one's acting as resistance, the other's acting as support, which is why you just have to pick one and be consistent with it. You know, sometimes people ask which is better, EMA or SMA. Personally, I do prefer the EMA, but just because it gives a bit more weight to the current price action. But the SMA has just as much value, to be honest, and reliable as well. But again, if you keep switching between the two, you will get contradicting outcomes. You know, one's resistance, one's support right now. Of course, when they both act as resistance, very nice confluence. Sometimes when they're opposing, it might be a situation just to wait for momentum to pick a direction. But yeah, bit of a contradiction between the two. But yeah, we are holding resistance there. So if momentum can creep in, would be a nice place to sell. Personally, still though, I would wait for price to push a little bit higher before getting involved. In terms of oil, crazy move to the downside yesterday. Very aggressive move. You can see how volatile oil is at the moment. If you look at the previous price action before kind of the conflict started to really ramp up, you can see how the average daily size candle there wasn't necessarily anything dramatic, very small. And then of course now we're seeing huge daily candles, big wicks, very quick price action, and things are just a little bit heated at the moment. I think nonetheless though, we are trading at a very nice level, and I think this is a great place to be looking for a buy. Of course, very volatile times, so take that with a pinch of salt. Especially because you could wake up again next morning and price has done something like this. So I highly recommend managing your risk, trading with a stop loss, a hard stop loss in place, not over leveraging on any positions, especially with oil, pretty much any market, of course, but specifically oil right now because it is very volatile and moving a lot. But I think there's opportunity here for a buy. I'm seeing some nice wicks here. All I would wait for is momentum to creep back in. So seeing maybe a nice strong close like that, use that for an entry, stops below the low, maybe a bit of buffer room just in case we see some extra frantic price action. Expectation will be a push back into resistance, and then I'll be looking at a push back into 80 up at the high there. So yeah, my idea would be very bullish for gold, for oil. I can see very solid support here on the daily chart, very big reactions. Price broke through that, consolidated, broke back above, and now we've got the retest. I wasn't expecting the retest to happen, to be honest. I thought price would just continue higher, but we've got some crazy momentum. Price is pushed down. We're in that level. I think this is a great place to be looking to position for some longs, especially if you're looking for a swing trade too. So yeah, with oil, I like the buying opportunity here. I would just keep an eye on price. Let's see if we can get some momentum. To be honest, this candle's about to close in 18 minutes. It doesn't look like we are. So maybe the next 4-hour candle will give us that momentum. But I have to say, I do like the wicks. It shows that price is respecting that support area very well. But I do think the bigger move is the upside for oil. But like I said, manage risk, stop loss must be in with this one. Look how crazy this momentum is. And that's just in space of 1 day. If you didn't manage risk, let's say if you bought up with the highs here, expecting price to continue, didn't have a stop loss in, suddenly in a lot of drawdown and very unnecessary as well. So manage risk 100%, as you should do with every trade, of course. But more so, with this oil idea. Anyway, dollar yen, we'll take a look next. Dollar CAD, of course. And we use SMA as a scalper. Long term, I use EMA very rarely. Okay, yeah, again, SMA, EMA, different flavors. Like I said, I prefer the EMA, but again, the way I see it, they're all confluence. They all have their own part to play. They do contradict sometimes, but they do agree at sometimes, and that can be a very powerful kind of confluence when the EMA and the SMA both act as resistance or both act as support. That's obviously a good thing to have. And of course, when they contradict, maybe it's a time to back off a little bit, wait for a bit more information before getting involved. But yeah, I like using the EMA just because it gives a bit more weight to the current price. So it means that, when you're having volatile moves like this, it's a bit more impacted with the EMA. Whereas the SMA would treat price action like this and price action like this the exact same, with the same weighting. But EMA would take more consideration to what price is doing now, which is something which kind of helps the moving averages, because the reason why some people don't like moving averages is because they lag. But the EMA lags a little bit less because of the weighting it gives to current price, which is why I like the EMA. But yeah, SMA is still great to use as well. Okay, let's go to dollar yen. So yeah, dollar yen, massive rejection yesterday. Of course, USD being very weak has helped this one out, but looks like price didn't quite make it back to resistance there, and had a very strong reaction down. I was actually looking to see if I can pluck some buys for the dollar yen off the high here, but we smashed through that. I mean, this happened towards the end of the day. I think that, this closed whilst I was sleeping actually. But yeah, prices broke back within that. So it looks to me that maybe prices just formed another lower high. This could be potentially another fake out of resistance, and we could be working our way back down into support, maybe even back to the lows here as well. So what I would suggest for dollar yen, especially if you're looking at intraday, I think a nice trade would be if price can pull back, retest this area, and then that could be a very nice short back into the low end of the range. Because the way I see it, this is like a very sharp inverse V-shaped reversal pattern. So you got your impulse up, impulse back down. Your typical V-shaped pattern is price is trending lower, strong move down, strong move back up. That gives you the V shape, and then you expect price to continue higher. This, of course, is the same pattern, just in the opposite direction. So now I would expect the correction and the continuation. And of course, now we've got a solid level of resistance just above us. I'll look to see if we can come back and retest that, form a lower high. I think that would be a great place to short. Stops above the high and targets below, into the low of the range. Because essentially what we've done is just faked the high again. Exactly what we did over here. We've gone and done it again over there. There's no sustained breakout, no retest. So yeah, with dollar yen now, I was looking for a retest there for a short, and expectations are pushed back into 142.5. So I actually quite like the dollar yen price action. I'm not really looking to trade this because it's a bit more intraday and we're back within the range, but I think that looks like a smart opportunity for a short. And if we are going to continue this bearish trend, then there's a chance we get back to these lows here as well. And of course, with USD being weak, that should add a bit more fuel to the fire. Dollar CAD looking pretty bearish. This pair is something I'm keeping a close eye on. I'm looking to see if I can jump into shorts myself. I like the consolidation here, which we tapped into a nice area of supply. You can see we consolidated there for a few days before a strong break lower. We have tapped into that nice kind of wave pattern there. 1, 2, 3, nice push to the downside. I'm looking to see if we can get a retest of that, a double top, before I do jump into shorts. But this is really something I'm looking at, and I push back into the low. Because to me, it just looks like this bearish trend on the daily chart is just continuing. High, lower high again, and potentially another lower high there as well. And of course, a push back into this big zone would be the target. So yeah, the way I see it, dollar CAD still looking very bearish to me. More downside likely on its way. CAD has been very weak as well, which is why dollar CAD hasn't really seen much movement. Other USD pairs have been very, very volatile. Dollar CAD, not as much. CAD is probably the main reason of that. But yeah, in terms of direction, still very bearish, very corrective move to the upside as well, which implies this is probably not going to be a reversal. This is most likely a pullback for us to keep pushing lower. So yeah, now that we've got that first reaction, looking to confirm that, then take the short. I still like the area up here as well. So if price doesn't respect it, let's say if we do continue higher, well then I'll look up at this zone for entries. Yeah, pretty much for the same target, a push back into the lows there. But for now, let's focus around 1.378 for some shorts, and I push back into 1.355 for some targets. So overall, very, very bearish here in dollar CAD. It's just CAD hasn't been quite strong. It's been very weak, which is why dollar CAD hasn't really seen much movement there. But judging the DXY right now, I think the DXY still has room to follow. So I think the DXY is likely going to take out the lows here at 97.6. So if USD's got some more weakness to give, it means that pairs like dollar CAD still likely to fall lower. Of course, we'll monitor what CAD does. I do think we will still likely fall. Just see if I can get an entry to actually take advantage of the move. Jay Huntley, what is up? Hope you're well. Yes, we can take a look at dollar CHF. Okay, looking for a buy at 0.825. Yeah, USD CHF looking pretty bearish this morning. CHF has become a little bit weaker as of late, but it looks to me that basically this consolidation to our left has basically been respected. Almost a double top there. You can see price rejected the area once, almost came back for the retest, but we are looking pretty bearish since that 4-hour candle closed yesterday, and looks like we're leaking to the downside since then. So to me, it looks like price has still got more downside, and we probably are going to push back into the lows here at 0.804. You said you're looking for a buy to 0.825, which would be around here, so back into resistance there-ish. Are you looking to buy the market now at current price, or are you looking for price to push back into the lows there? What's the plan? How are you looking to buy it there? Because yeah, 0.625 and 0.825 is not looking like a likely move at the moment. Of course, price could very much push into support and then go make that move. That could have 100% happen. But at the moment, things are looking pretty bearish with dollar CHF, and I would favor at least price to get back to 0.804. Maybe after that, we have a big rejection, and then maybe we might see a push to 0.825. We did see a pretty meaningful reaction from this level, but I would wait for price to at least get to support, at least react with it before I start to anticipate any buying opportunities. At the moment, the bears are still very much in control. We've got consistent lower highs in play. This looks to be like another one. So I would suggest, if you're looking at the lower time frames, shorts look the best, and a push back into the low looks likely. But then, yeah, we could bounce and see some upside, but I need to see how price reacts with that level first. I wouldn't necessarily bank on a push to 0.825, especially with momentum, with the trend is down. We haven't really had any break of structure yet either. So, yeah, I would be cautious about targeting that level just yet. At the moment, I still think we're likely to keep falling. Looks like the CHF weakness isn't that weak, really. I think USD is the main driving force here. Joshua, Euro Yen, okay, we'll have a look. I'll go through a bunch of the yen pairs actually. But yeah, Euro Yen, something I'm still interested in for some longs after the big move we had yesterday. Price has well and truly broken through the high here. Unless we have like a V-shaped reversal and price impulsively rockets to the downside, then I might view this as a big fake out, because what we would have would be a very nice wick to the upside and a close on the weekly chart. And that could still make me bearish on the pair, because we have had one close above, of course, last week's candle. But, you know, if we were to close back below this week, well, one close above doesn't really justify a massive breakout for me, especially if the following candle does close back within the range. So if this week's candle was to pull back down and close back within, I would still view this as resistance, still playing its part, still holding price, and then I would be looking for the big sell back into the lows. That's only if we do push down back aggressively, which price still has a lot of work to do. If we remain corrective and remain slow, then I would be looking at buying opportunities as we do come back into this area, and looking to see if I can find some buys to take this back to the high and so on and so forth. So Euro Yen, this is still an area of interest for me for a long. I will be keeping a very close eye to see how we get there and how price moves. If price does accelerate and sees a pretty strong move down, like I said, if we do close bearish on the weekly back below that level, then I would view this as a big fake out. You know, this is still a very sensitive region, so I have to be cautious, not jumping into trades too early. But if we do push down aggressively, I would view that as a big fake out. And the plan after that would be pull back into more downside, and a lot more downside actually. So Euro Yen still very much in a fragile area where we could still very much sell off. At the moment, we've had a lovely impulse to the upside. Price is still relatively corrective on the way down. I want to see us kind of slow down a little bit more though. And then, yeah, I would be looking at buys coming back into this area. But how we get there is very, very important. How we get there, how we operate. If we pick up pace now and start falling aggressively, I will back away. If it stays nice and slow, I would just simply anticipate another higher low forming, maybe another retest of a trend line like this one, and a continuation back into the high, and maybe a lot further as well. So for now, still bullish on Euro Yen, but how we get there is very, very important, and how the rest of the week unfolds. So keep a close eye on that. But this is still the opportunity which we're leaning into. Gold is falling. No problem, Jay Huntley. Happy to help. Yeah, gold is looking bearish. Last time I looked, it broke through the trend line and now pushing back into support. So as I said earlier, yeah, the break of the trend line is not the end of the world for gold. You know, trend lines don't necessarily define the trend. It kind of shows the angle of the trend, but a trend line break doesn't justify, you know, a complete direction in the market. Sometimes we just have bigger pullbacks. Sometimes we come back to retest lows and then continue the trend. So this is a very, very important area for gold, 3,300. If gold is going to remain bullish, at least in the 4-hour chart anyway, it does need to respect this area. So this is why I think it's a good area for a buy, because if we do see some good rejection here, I do think we'll see a nice push higher. On the opposite side of things, if price does break through the level, well, I would definitely back away from buying gold at that point, because I would expect the bigger move to be to the downside. So of course, you know, expect a pullback at some point, but I do think price will likely push lower. There's still massive support here, which we might go and retest before maybe going bullish. Yeah, that could be the case as well. But yeah, you're right. Gold is looking pretty bearish right now. In terms of where the focus would be, is at the low. So I'm not so concerned that we're looking bearish now, because that can change very quickly at support. What I will be concerned with is how price reacts with this zone. Whether it gets there, slows down, provides some nice wick rejections. You know, it looks like it's about to bounce. That's what I want to be concerned with. Or of course, if we don't do any of that and just see a strong candle closure below, then that would be a big concern for the buyers there. But yeah, definitely keeping a close eye on gold as it does develop. But 3,300 is really where my attention is. And that will kind of make or break whether I continue to look to buy or I back away completely from gold. But I think silver just looks a lot cleaner now. So I'm just going to probably focus a lot more my attention on silver now. We've had a lovely retest here. That did give us a bit of a spike lower. I still think we can sell off. I'm kind of viewing this price action as a big range now for silver. Very, very choppy behavior. But the most important thing with silver, is that we've had a big breakout of resistance, this level here just below 35, and price hasn't really done anything crazy since then. So I'm still looking at this as a pullback for us to continue higher, and this is the area which I'm waiting for the retest of. So silver to me, very bullish, still looking at a lot more upside. Want to see a deeper pullback, which might coincide with gold. Gold's looking pretty bearish, it might have a bigger pullback. Maybe silver has one too. See the retest of this 35 level, and maybe we continue from then onwards. So keeping a very close eye there of silver. Big fan of the breakout. As long as price doesn't break back below, I remain bullish, expecting more upside. So that's kind of where my focus is now with the metals. Still keep an eye on gold, but I would prefer to buy silver at this point in time. But anyway, back to the yen pairs. So if we have a quick look at the yen basket, we have seen a little bit of strength creep back in. But my main issue with the yen basket is the numerous lower highs prices stacked. We've seen so many lower highs. If I just highlight them, one over there. We've put so many lower highs in. So if the market is going to go bullish, it's got so much to get through, so much has to break past if it is going to be bullish. It could still very be bullish. Market can do whatever it likes, but if we are going to push to the upside, there's a lot of friction we have to go against. We did somewhat break through the lows yesterday, and then we did leave quite a big wick there on the daily candle, so the breakout isn't as spectacular as it could have been. I think on the stream we were trading back at the lows here, then the price had a pretty big pullback. So the breakout isn't necessarily clean, but it's definitely a valid breakout here. So I'm looking to see what we do now in this pullback. I'm very much looking to see if we are going to form another lower high, because if we do, then yeah, euro yen still looks very good to short. Because if we just pull back, form another lower high like we've been doing, you would expect something like this to form, which means euro yen, you're expecting pull back into there, another high low to form, and some more buys. Pound yen, you'd be expecting the same thing as well. Pound yen had the lovely break of this resistance level, lovely break to the upside. Are we just going to get the nice pullback into this zone and be on our way? If the yen is going to give us that slight pullback, a lower high formation like this over here, then we probably will get that opportunity in pound yen. Let me invert the chart slightly. Yeah. If we do go and break structure to the upside, take up that channel, then I'm going to have to revisit everything, because at that point we might be looking at a reversal, yen strength coming into the market, and that could of course give us some big sell-offs. I'm looking at euro yen as kind of the main culprit. If that does push down aggressively, well, we'll be looking at lower highs and possibly a big sell-off. But yeah, I just need a bit more information. Nothing's kind of crystal clear to me just yet. I still like pound yen buys, still like euro yen buys for now, but I'm just going to see how they pull back, keep an eye on the yen basket. If everything does look good, nothing kind of screams red flag, I will look to try and take some buys on either euro yen or pound yen. Yep, I would agree with that one. Follow Chen. Yeah, I mean, again, in terms of on paper, gold does look like a very good buy. The situation with, the conflict in the Middle East, the fact that people will be looking to put money in areas of safety, the dollar, the yen, gold, the biggest kind of safe havens, especially gold as well. The fact that USD has been on a big decline for a while, it still is apparently so. USD still falling pretty aggressively. You expect that to still be a big factor in pushing the dollar higher. So there's numerous reasons, and of course technically the market is still very bullish too. So there's numerous reasons why we could probably see gold push higher, and the likelihood is that gold will push higher. But of course, we're not seeing that at the moment. Gold is falling pretty aggressively. So I do think there's opportunity there because of that. Because gold is pushing down, but on paper it should be pushing up. Therefore, it technically is still a good buy. It's just the technicals need to support that. The fact that we did break through that trend line there is a bit more of a negative. It doesn't necessarily scream bullish. If you are going to break the trend line, you'd rather price respect it. But we still do have a pretty meaningful level of support around 3,300 there as well, which of course could very much push us higher. So I do agree. I think there's value there for gold because on paper it should be going higher, but it isn't. So I do expect that to kind of turn around within due course. Of course, sometimes everything is not always 1 + 1 = 2 in the market as well. Sometimes we do see kind of odd behavior. Maybe we're about to see it now with gold. And of course, let's not forget, the trend is bullish. It's not like, because also you have to take into consideration what everyone else in the market is doing, because that does play a role. If everyone does see the buy opportunity, then the chances are maybe the market doesn't push up straight away. Maybe the market does push down, get some sellers stuck on the wrong side, maybe take out some early buyers, and then we see the move. That could be the case. The market needs to kind of balance first, take the liquidity before we actually do fund the move higher. Maybe that's what the market is doing as well. Wants to be some uncertainty first before we do get that certainty back into the market. But on paper, still very much a good buy. So I do definitely agree with that. I think I'll personally just focus on silver, which in the same situation, I would expect gold and silver to both be heading higher. But I think silver is just a slightly clearer market. But you're definitely right. There is a little bit of a contrast between what you would expect to be happening with gold and what is actually happening with gold. If we have a look at the indices, these guys have been pretty bullish as well. Typically in times of fear, the stock market is not necessarily heading up. But in this situation, stock market is still pushing up. S&P 500 still pushing up there as well. Got some new highs. NAS 100 still pushing up there as well. As this one got to the all-time highs, not quite, but very, very close. So the stock market is still looking relatively healthy. So it begs the question, you would expect gold to be pushing up, NAS 100, S&P to be pushing down, but we're actually seeing the exact opposite of that happening. So there is something definitely not adding up there. There's not much to do with that, to be honest, really. I think just keep an eye on gold. There probably will be a decent buy there. With the indices, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to sell them. They are still quite corrective as they do move within this channel here. So I do think at some point we will see a big correction there for NAS. Maybe after we take out the all-time highs first, then we'll see a bigger pullback. Don't get me wrong, the larger picture, the bigger picture, NAS is still very much bullish, but maybe we do trend slightly further, then we do have that bigger pullback. We have been bullish for a while as well, but it does look like price is going to go and grab the highs. You can see same situation here for the S&P, very corrective in this channel. We might go and pluck the highs first before we do push back down, and maybe we see a bigger pullback, and then maybe we just continue like nothing happened. But it's been a bit of a contrast. Indices looking very bullish. If I have a look at the DAX as well, DAX is looking very, very bullish too. Looks like the resistance level there, 10 support, seems to be doing its job. Strong push to the upside. I like this area here just below us. I would suggest intraday, if we could see some pullbacks to retest that area, that would be a smart place for a buy. And could very much see a continuation to the upside. So there is a big contradiction there between what the market is doing and what you kind of expect it to do fundamentally. But it begs the question, will that kind of correct? And if so, when? Tommy, favorite pair between pound yen and pound USD, I would say. I like them both because price action pretty decent in terms of the clarity of it. Maybe pound yen not as much, but I tend to have a good read of pound yen. And pound yen especially because it moves quite a lot as well. So if I'm going to take a swing trade on pound yen, I probably will get more bang for my buck, more value there in terms of the risk rewards than pretty much almost every other pair that I trade. On average, of course, you could catch a big move on gold that even be a lot bigger than pound yen, but on average, pound yen does give me some decent moves. Pound USD as well, very liquid pair. I prefer it to Euro USD a little bit more just because it's a bit more expansive, but the price action to Euro is quite similar as well. So yeah, those are my two favorite pairs. I like trading them the most. But the thing is, I don't really necessarily focus on them the most. It's just when I do take the trade with pound USD and pound yen, they are my better performing pairs. I always go to whichever market's providing the best opportunity. Sometimes it will be pound USD and pound yen. Sometimes it will be Euro CAD. It really depends on the pair. I'm not the type of trader to just focus on a pair exclusively just because it's my favorite. Because I'll probably end up taking some really poor opportunities and it won't be my favorite anymore. So I do have to be careful with that. But yeah, the stock market looking very bullish. How's the FTSE doing as well? Also on the topic, not as good. Oh my, this one just missed out the all-time highs. Last time I looked at it, I think we're trading over here, and we're looking very bullish at that point in time. So I thought price was just going to go and sweep the highs, and then potentially pull back. It has pulled back, but it didn't take up the highs. Interestingly enough, normally when we're so close to highs like that, price would normally just go and take the highs and then pull back. But in this case, not quite. It's pulled back already. But I think that's quite interesting because we haven't taken up the highs yet, which means that I would expect us to go and do that eventually. So I would expect a higher low to form and suddenly a strong move higher. Might come back to retest some areas down here maybe. But the FTSE I still think is likely to take up the highs. So I do think we are likely to push higher. But right now the market's still pretty bearish, so we might still fall over a couple more times before we do turn around. But yeah, that's interesting. So close to the high, but didn't quite take up the move. But yeah, we've had some very crazy moves across the board. I was looking at pound NZD, but I decided to trade gold instead. But pound NZD has given us a much better reaction at the high there. I'm still looking at big head and shoulder for this one. Overall, to be honest, I can pretty much consider this to be a bit more of a ranging market, really, with this being a massive fake out. The head and shoulder is a bit more wishy-washy now. It did look good previously. The left head, right shoulder. Now we've got kind of two right shoulders. A bit weird there, but we've got another one. I still do expect us to break to the downside. Again, I think I'll just stay neutral because if you do break to the upside, well, I would be, of course, looking to buy the market as well. Biggest part of trading is being able to react and adapt to what the market's giving you. Things look bullish, but you had a bearish bias. The last thing you want to do is keep looking to short it because you had that bearish bias. Things are not looking bearish anymore. Things have changed. You want to be able to change with it as well. So if I do see a solid break to the upside for pound NZD, I would be looking to buy as well. I just think the bigger move for pound NZD is likely to be lower since we've been trending to the upside for quite a while. The market's quite stretched. I think there is a bigger pullback in store. But maybe the pullback doesn't want to happen now. But we'll see what happens within this range. We respected the high again yesterday. I do think we can still see a push to the lower end of the range. But there is no real opportunity right now. I know we're testing an area within the range, but I wouldn't try and look to trade there. That's where the most uncertainty, the most indecision is. So I would stay away. What's up, Gerald? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're good. Any markets you're looking to trade today? In terms of my watch list, I was looking at a lot of USD pairs for some shorts, but They've of course reacted with very strong areas, so I'm not looking to sell them at all unless they would quickly recover that. But pound USD bouncing off that low, of course, a very, very bullish reaction. In terms of my watch list, I would say the few pairs I like the most: dollar CAD selling opportunities. If we can retest 1.379, that would be very much appreciated. Market's still very consistent with the major lower highs. Excuse me. We've got one over there, second, third, basically looking for a fourth. Another drive back into these lows. So if I can find a nice double top, that would be more than enough for an entry. Then I'll look to try and short it back into the lows. So yeah, dollar CAD shorts look good. I really like silver longs. So of course silver can pull back, retest that daily high around 35, healthy pullback. I would expect to see a big continuation for silver. A long way to go with this one, but we have to remain patient. But that is the direction I'll be looking to trade with silver. I'm keeping an eye on EUR/NZD for some longs as well. Forgot about this one actually. EUR/NZD, as we do push down, I have to say I don't like the retracements. A bit too aggressive for my liking. I would have wanted it to be a lot slower. But I am looking to see what we can do in reference to this zone, if we can respect it, form a higher low, and possibly see a rally back to highs. Because I'm essentially just looking to continue this bullish structure here for another continuation back into the high. But like I said, the pullback was quite aggressive. I want it to be a lot more slower, corrective, not like an impulse sort of situation, which gives us the inverse V-shaped pattern. So I need to see some evidence of us slowing down. Again, when we are looking at pullbacks, the whole move doesn't have to be corrective. If the whole move is corrective, that's great. But sometimes you can have a very impulsive start, then the market will slow down and become corrective and still be a really good buy. So this is kind of what I'm hoping to see with EUR/NZD. But if we maintain that speed, yeah, I probably will back away. But the overall trend is still to the upside, and it looks like we could be seeing a continuation of that. So I'm going to be keeping a very close eye here with EUR/NZD, 1.92 for the buys. And then of course with the yen pairs, keeping a close eye for euro-yen as well. Same situation, we're pulling down quite aggressively. I want us to slow down before I do take any buying opportunities. Again, we've had a really big breakout of 166.682. If this is the real deal, if price has broken out this level to continue higher, possibly to push back to the highs here at 175, if that is the case, then I would just be looking at a nice corrective pullback. I retested the zone. We do have a nice trend line excuse me, connecting the dots there. Always got very croaky for a second. Very nice high-low connecting the dots. Possibly we can catch the next one and look to ride that back to highs and so on and so forth. So euro-yen looks like a nice buy. Pound-yen as well. Almost forgot about this one. Pound-yen looks like a nice buy too. Strong break to the upside past couple of days. We've got solid resistance. Now hopefully we turn support. Numerous high lows as prices trend has been trending to the upside. Now the plan is, can we find the next higher low on the retest of the zone and possibly a push to the upside back to roughly 200, where the highs there are forming. So pound yen longs, euro yen longs, looking at closely. Silver longs, EUR/NZD longs, and dollar CAD shorts is kind of the watch list I'm working with at the moment. Had a lot of moves over the past 24 hours, so I've taken away some of my watch list, but those have stood the test. So I'm going to keep a close eye on them. And again, that could change again by the end of the week as well, depending on how price develops. But for now, that's really where my focus is. Gerald, okay, looking for longs and pound NZD. Yes, we can take a look at that. What's up, Yusuf? Good morning, my man. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Okay, so let's take a look at pound NZD. So with GBP NZD, I'm not looking to long the pair just yet until I see a solid break to the upside. The way I kind of see price is that we are just consolidating really. We've got resistance here, support there. Price manipulated that, breaking to the upside, but then broke back below pretty swiftly. Respected support on a couple more occasions, resistance again, support again, resistance again. So the way I see price is that we're very, very flat and we're just moving sideways within this range, minus maybe a couple fake outs to the downside and to the upside. So for me to be bullish on pound NZD, I do need to see price break to the upside, and then I can be looking for long opportunities above all of the noise. So at that point, I would expect us to see a push back to the high of the range at that point. A solid break above the highs here. I think we just see the continuation of this trend really, and push back to the higher will likely move. Whilst we're in the middle of the range, or just in the range in general, not really looking to do anything in the middle. I have suggested some selling opportunities up at the high, or some buying opportunities at the low could make sense. Just trying to pick the highs and pick the lows. I would be looking for buys at here. I mean, I can see that price is coming back into a nice level. You've got prior resistance once, twice. Move this out of the way. You've got support there as well. So potentially price might react here, hold support and rally to the upside. That could be the case. The reason why I don't like the buy or the location of the buy really, there's nothing wrong with the buy setup. Really solid resistance, strong break, retest. It makes sense. But it's just the location of everything. The odds of you getting kind of wicked out or seeing some random behavior, or, a lot of fluctuation, random wicks is very, very high in these areas because this is the middle of the range. Like I said, if I'm going to get involved in the range, it's because price is either right at the high or price is right at the low. In the middle is where I want to stay away from, pretty much under all circumstances, stay away from. So personally, I would avoid trying to look for any buys there. But if we can clear the range and break to the upside, then yes, I would agree. I would be very bullish on pound NZD and breaking retest opportunities, pullbacks, whatnot. Doesn't even have to be the retest of the high here, but some type of pullback and retest would definitely look good to me, and push to 2.33 is what I'll be expecting to see next for pound NZD. So yeah, pound NZD I can get on board with the buys, but I need a little bit more upside before I join that party. What's up, Lighton? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. Same sort of situation with pound Aussie as well. This one, I would still define this as a consolidation too. Maybe the lows aren't as well formed as pound NZD, but you can see how many times price is respect to resistance. So if I'm going to be bullish on pound Aussie as well, I do want to see a clear cut break to the upside. Again, that implies to me that all the resistance here is no longer holding. This trend to the upside is probably going to continue, and we're most likely probably going to push back the swing high up there. So once I see that happen, I'll be more than happy to look for some pullbacks and trying to trade it back into 2.16 at that point in time. So buys in pound NZD, buys in pound Aussie, both in a similar situation. If we see a solid break, yes, I'll expect both of them to continue and both to see a push back to their respective highs. Of course, same is true for the selling opportunities as well. If they do break lower, I would be pretty bearish on the market naturally and looking for a bigger sell for both of those pairs, because they have both been trending to the upside for a while. So I think they're both stretched, which is why kind of longer term have a bearish bias for both of them. So I do think we are still yet to see a bigger retracement and a bit of a breather. And as I look on the higher time frames, they've all been trending to the upside for a while now. Very stretched. Both have taken out COVID highs back in 2020. So I think we are due a pullback. You can see pound Aussie did pluck the highs here recently. I think that could potentially induce a bit of a pullback. Even if the bigger move is still to the upside, we might pull back for a few days, a few weeks potentially, before continuing. But if that's not the case, if price is fine, ready to keep going, if we do see a strong break of the high there, then yeah, I would anticipate a push back to highs. But the key takeaway is that we're still within the range and uncertainty is still there. Price might go break the high. It might just see a swing back into the low again. Yeah, not too sure. Just going to stay in the sidelines until we get a confirmed move, a confirmed break to kind of point the direction to me. You sounding like star screen. Sounding like star screen. Yeah, I think my mic is something is wrong with my. I don't know if it's my mic or the connection from the mic, because apparently my camera's been lagging as well. But yeah, the audio seems to be going under a few issues. I don't think it's your end. I think it's something to do with my end. I'm not too sure what the reason is, but it happened yesterday as well. I think it only happened towards the start of yesterday's stream, but as the stream got on, the mic kind of sorted itself out. I don't know, maybe it's worse today. Yeah, I was just playing some of the stream back, and I could hear it. But yeah, I'm not too sure what it is. To be fair, I think I need to kind of recheck the connection with the mic. But it's not the internet because I think the chart is visible, moving fine. Yes, use these aren't no problem. We can definitely take a look. So yeah, USDs are looking pretty bearish. Of course, USD being very weak, we did see a strong move to the downside for a lot of USD pairs, and USDs are definitely one of them as well. Still think this is where the market is headed towards longer term. I was expecting a bigger pullback for USDs. In fairness, I was mentioning this area here as an interesting area for a sell. Price was very corrective. I was looking for just a bit more upside before we do and see some downside, but it looks like the market was ready to drop. Strong push down, and we're already back at the lows here. So I think there could actually still be a buy. It's a bit of an aggressive position because momentum is not really in your favor. Price has been falling quite a while, but this is a strong up move. And if rejection is strong enough here too, this does look like a nice place for a buy. We are still trading in a nice area in demand on the daily chart. As you can see, nice brief area where price had a very strong move to the upside, and only now actually is when price is actually coming back to retest it as support. So I still think this is a very nice area for a long, and the double bottom could actually be a very nice confirmation to back up the trade, especially if we can see another rejection in the 4-hour chart. So I do like the bias here for USDs. Possibly the bigger pullback I mentioned to that area could still very much be on, but I would suggest if you can at least get a push back into this consolidation, that would be a nice trade within itself, an area where you could look to book profits and see how we develop onwards. But yeah, USDs I would still be bullish in this area. I do think the bigger move is the sell, but of course now is not the time to be looking to sell at all. If price was to go and rip through the lows, okay, we can speak about shorting opportunities. At that point, we've got clear areas to short from. We've got clear signs of continuation. Yes, we can take some selling opportunities off the back of that. But if price is going to respect support, then I do want to see price, give me a rejection. Buying opportunities would make sense. Then maybe later on, back at this zone or back at the zone up there, we can speak about looking to take some shorts again. But at 17.675, I do think this looks like a nice buying opportunity for USDR. I just need to see that strong reaction. USD is quite weak right now, so if we do keep bleeding, then like I said, we can look for shorts beyond that point, but of course, not directly into it. Making it sound robotic. Megatron is among us today. Yeah, it might be an issue with the gain, but I don't want to play around with it because I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know if that's going to sound better or worse. Looking forward to more USDR downward move. Groceries ain't cheap. Yeah. Could do with South African Rand gaining some strength. But yeah, I mean, I do think more downside is likely to come. Not just because we're trying to help your grocery shopping, but in terms of the price action as well. It does look like downside is likely to come. Massive failure at the highs as well. Massive failure at the highs, 19.6. So I would expect to see a push back down into the low at 17.07, and then we'll go from there. Maybe we do turn around again. Of course, the overall trend is still very much up, but after that double top, I do think we get back to the lows. But now is definitely not the time to be buying. Time to be selling, sorry. Coming into support there. If I have a look at Eurozar as well. Okay, Eurozar coming back into a nice area for a buy. I remember I mentioned this area, I think last week or the week before. But yeah, talking about a retest of this zone. We've had a lot of consolidation since then. But now we're pushing back into this high. So we can see how price reacts when we get there. At the moment, of course, things are still looking pretty bearish, but if we can slow down, provide some wicks, I think that'll be a smart place for a buy after a very solid rejection at the lows. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on that for a buy. I think at least a push back into the highs there, and of course maybe a secondary target back into daily, weekly resistance. But for now, a push back into this level will be a very smart move. But yeah, I would be looking to buy both Eurozar and USDZAR if I traded them. Again, the buys on USDZAR and Eurozar are great, especially if you're looking to swing trade because of the swaps, which is the kind of the main reason why I stopped trading exotics. If I had to, I'd only be looking to really sell them because that's where you get positive swap. So if you nail a good trade and you get the swap as well, if it lasts a few days, it can definitely add to the position. But on the other side of things, if you do get into a long position and start to consolidate, especially over a few days, it could be a situation where, even if you do profit from the trade, it might not be that much because of the swap that will eat into it. Especially if it just becomes a break-even trade, that will be a losing trade. If it ends up a loss, you could end up taking double the loss potentially, depending how many days you are in that position. So, not a fan of the swaps here for the exotic pairs. So if I had to trade them, I think it would only be looking to short them really. Or if I was going to buy in and out on the same day, the swaps are way too expensive. Open mind and coding, what is up? Welcome to the stream. Good morning. Pound USD. Okay, what confluences will I use to anticipate a reversal? Good question. I will go and take a look for you. Kingsley, what is up? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Hope you are good too. No problem. Yes, pound yen we can take a look at. That's what I'm favoring. A retracement on pound yen for more upside. Yen still looks relatively weak to me. So I do still think yen can still be weak. I think pound at the moment is quite strong as well. But in terms of the technicals, it does look like a break for more upside, but we will go a lot more into that. As for pound USD, so what I would use to anticipate a reversal, to keep it relatively simple, I focus mainly on market structure to anticipate reversals. I do mainly market structure, but I also look at key levels of support resistance as well. Coming into the week, I was looking to see if price can break underneath this level here, around 1.342. That was going to be my key mark, not necessarily for a reversal, but for at least more downside, because it's actually quite difficult to predict a reversal outright. But to predict at least the counter trend move is not too difficult. Every time price creates new highs, you can at least expect the retracement to form and the counter trend move. Every time we create a new high, pull back, new high, pull back, new high, pull back. So those pullbacks, those counter trend moves aren't so crazy to predict, because every time a new high is created, there's a good chance we are going to pull back at some stage. But a complete reversal, I would wait for key lows to be taken out. So in this case, let's say if we go and create a new high for pound, I would wait for this low to be taken out. And that would at least tell me that, okay, prior lows, which gave us the prior high, has now been taken out. So that tells me that this bullish leg is completely void. Now I would be expecting a lower high and a lower low. So a break of 1.37 would make me bearish on the pair. I'll look for lower highs and for a bearish trend to form. Of course, how long that trend does form for and how long it continues, again, that's a different question in itself. But it would be a break of that low. And of course, that would take us back underneath this level as well, adding to the confluence, because it has been relatively strong resistance and support recently too. So if you can break underneath that level too, and of course break the low, that's a very strong sign to tell us that, okay, sellers have well and truly stepped into the market. We can probably expect a lower high and a lower low to form since then. So in terms of a reversal for pound, yeah, this low needs to go. You can see we're seeing a lot of strength there to the upside as well. It would be nice potentially if we form a bit of a double top there. So we push up, react, then drop. Yeah, that would be a nice pattern, because we failed at the highs plus the break of the low. Then a lower high would be my expectation, and the lower low. So yeah, that swing point there would be what I'll be looking for. But in terms of like confluences, like what I use to back up my trades, like too short, trend lines, I'll be looking for Fibonacci levels, breaking retest of support resistance levels. Of course, candlestick patterns to initiate confirmation to enter the trade. Momentum as well, how we break the lows is a very important factor. Do we push the downside and correctively go and break the lows? Is it a very slow anticipated break? Or do we completely reverse it? Is it a plummet? Is it an aggressive punch lower? If it's something like that, then I can be very confident that more downside is likely to come. If it's a slow corrective push, then I would still anticipate more downside, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bit of a fake move for us to go higher. So how we break it is a strong confidence to the trade too. Another problem, happy to help. Okay, pound yen. So yeah, pound yen, I am looking at more upsides for this one. Yeah, the way I see it, price is just broken through key resistance, and I am now looking at another higher low forming. We've been very consistent with the high lows previously. We've been squeezing between resistance in the trend line. Looks like we finally popped to the upside. If this is the real deal, because of course fake outs can happen. If you just flash over to dollar yen quickly, kind of had that over there with this one. Price did break through resistance here, but it didn't really sustain. Price broke straight back below. So pound yen could do that as well. So the retest is very, very important. Waiting for price to pull back into the zone, see sufficient rejection, and then find some entries is very, very important. But yeah, I would be looking at a pullback for more upside, looking to follow that move. If I do see price close back below the high, then I'll back away. We're back to square one. We're back within our range. this would then be a massive fake out at that point in time. And probably at that point, I would be expecting some sellers to enter the market and see a bigger move down. Whether it breaks the trend line or not, we'll have to find out. But I would expect us to see a bit of a move down after that point. But yeah, the key focus is on the retest because that's what's going to get me into the trade. Lovely breakout. Let's see if we get a retest, 196.3, and then targets back to around 200, which is the swing I have there. Natty, yes, I would agree. At least at the moment, it is looking pretty bullish. I mean, the trend for the past few months has been bullish, to be honest. But yeah, we're looking pretty bullish. I mean, it depends on your horizon. If you're talking like 5-minute chart, then no, I would not be looking to try and anticipate upside right now because we're becoming a little bit flat. If you're talking about like a daily chart, then yes, I would say price is very bullish. Again, I would be looking to buy now because we're approaching resistance. I wouldn't be looking to buy Euro USD at any point in time right now because we're rejecting resistance there fairly well. But yes, the market is bullish. I did say earlier in the stream, now if we can pull back into this area, retest this high around 1.154, I think that would be a very smart place for a buy. Maybe like the 30 or the 15-minute chart. If we could see a push down to this level, that would be a nice place for a buy. Very strong impulsive move, breaking structure. Retest that zone, I think that would be a smart place for a buy. And targets just back to the high there, keeping it relatively simple. I think you can get a nice 1 to 2 into that area, maybe 1 to 3. And that's a very decent risk reward in itself. So yeah, the way I see it, USD looks pretty bearish. The dollar looks pretty bearish, sorry. Your USD looks bullish. Your dollar looks very, very, very bearish at the moment in time. So, of course, if you flick to the DXY right now, you can see strong breaking support. I do think the dollar is likely to push back into 97.6 there. So USD likely to push lower. Euro USD probably off the back of that likely to push higher. In terms of a good opportunity, I would just wait for the retest of support before looking to buy. But I would say we are looking pretty bullish. Yusuf. Okay, pound USD longs, euro longs, I will take a look for you. I'm zooming again on the 50-minute chart as well. Okay, that's good to hear. Open mind coding. Nice. Yeah, very, very true. That's a good way to go through it, because again, it's a big kind of accomplishment getting a funding account, and especially when it's the first one as well, you kind of get that euphoria. And I think that same excitement kind of is the downfall. A lot of traders when they do pass, a lot of people be giving their accounts straight away within the first kind of week of trading the new account, because of course previously in the funded stage you're making profits to get the funded account, but of course you can't withdraw yet. But now in the funded account, now you can withdraw, so you're very quick to trade, very quick to try and make some profit because you have the possibility now to withdraw. And of course that can just cause a lot of emotional mistakes, and before you know it, the account could be gone. So playing it safe, I think, is a very smart way to keep that consistency. And I think the biggest kind of advice I can say is look to try and see if you can still have that account this time next year, which of course doesn't mean you're going for big payouts, but it means you're going for small, consistent ones. And I think that's the way best to use it, because you've always got the account. You can take those small, consistent profits. You can leverage, bigger size accounts as well. 1% on 100K is still $1,000. Of course, you get your profit split of that, but that can add up, over weeks and months. And that's for me the best way to approach it. Trying to go for a big payout can work, but you might get a big payout this month and then you lose the account next month and then you have to make it back again, and then the cycle continues. I'd rather just focus on consistency and taking those small pieces of the cake along the way. But that's great to hear. Keep it up, my man. Keep it up. In terms of pound USD and euro longs, let me drop to the 15 minutes. Let me just clear the chart so we can look at it fresh. So euro USD, you said 1.154. I think that is pretty much the area which I just mentioned. Yeah, back at the high there. So yeah, I fully agree with that level. That's the area which I just mentioned in terms of lovely break. Now looking for the retest and a continuation. Now the fact that the market has broken back above that high. I did say yesterday that if the market is going to go bullish, if we are going to look to buy the market, I would wait for us to break this high. We didn't see the continuation to the downside. Price did not go and break the lows here. So we did not get that break and retest opportunity at all. Price rallied to the upside and now we cleared the highs out the way. So at this point in time, it looks like euro is probably going to push back to the highs here at 1.163. And if we're going to try and trade that, I want price to pull back, be at a discount, and then try and find some higher lows to get involved. This is a very, very sideways market right now, which is a good sign, means price is starting to slow down. If we can break lower, test some areas here, go find some more buys, I think that's where we can see the higher low. If I whip out the fib from the low to the high there, more or less you got the 50% lining up there pretty well. So to me, that's a healthy place for a buy. It makes sense, and hopefully we can swing it back to where price came from. So 50-minute chart, I do like the idea there. Pound USD longs. Let me delete it again. So pound USD, we're not quite at highs, but we're very close to them. Again, this would be a nice place for a retest for pound USD. You mentioned 1.3505, which, pretty much that area there as well. So yeah, I would agree there too. It's just the big question, will pound USD see the pullback to get to this area? Will it happen, or will price have a pullback halfway before it does continue? Of course, we don't really have control over that. But what we do have control over is where we buy, where we sell, the decisions that we do make, the trades that we do take. And I would suggest if pound USD was to get down here, nice and correctively, nothing too crazy, that would be a smart place for a buy. Equally, same as euro USD. I think euro, we've got a good chance of seeing the pullback. Pound, I'm not too sure. Pound's quite strong at the moment. We might just continue. But yeah, I would say if we can get there, that would make a lot more sense for a buy. Kind of looking like a big double bottom here, and that would be the test of the neckline of the pattern, so to speak. And then yeah, a continuation back to highs. I would mind that. But the key thing and why I like it a lot is because this break to the upside was very aggressive, very, very big push. So it's kind of like a very aggressive reversal. Now we're likely to see the continuation of that. So yeah, pound USD, euro USD, I like the longs from both of those areas. Smart areas for some longs. Just have to wait patiently to see if we will get that retracement. But yeah, it can, because of course sometimes you don't get the retracement, sometimes price continues. You're just gonna have to sit on your hands at that point in time. But yeah, I like both those opportunities, Yusuf. Structure makes sense, the level makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best way to play it. Open-minded coding. I think that's the best way to play it. You can go for the aggressive route. Try and go for the big payout. Potentially if you do that, you might hit the jackpot. But then, that could easily go the other way against you. You can find yourself in some drawdown. It might be very difficult to get back out of it as well if it's very, very deep, or take you a long while to get out of it. I think in terms of kind of your psychology as well, just taking those small kind of wins is great for the psychology. If you do go into a bit of a drawdown, it'll only be a small amount before you do get back into profit. I think that's just the best way to approach it, and you can be consistent then. You can actually rely on that withdrawal process. So I think there's consistency and there's long-term approach there. But yeah, congrats and keep it up, my man. But yeah, in terms of the USD pairs, I think with the dollar, if I drop to the 15 on the dollar as well, if we could see a retest of this low, then we could be seeing the pullbacks as we just mentioned on euro and pound, because this is essentially the same area. Strong push down, looking for the retest of the prior low here. Of course, with euro and pound looking for the retest of the prior high. But these are the areas which you're looking for price to come back, retest, and find a continuation. Targets back into the low, into the swing low. So DXY looking very bearish. Looks like we're just going to continue the trend. At least back into the prior low. I'm not so confident about a massive move. I want to see momentum really enter the market like we have had over here before I do get excited again, just because this is so corrective. Price is still trading at major lows here as well. So as a swing trader, doesn't make too much sense me trying to find some entries here. But if there's a strong break to the downside, something like this, that would give me confidence to follow the trend, because that's a strong sign to tell me that, okay, the sellers are very much back in control, momentum's well and truly with the bears. This trend is healthy again, momentum's back in the market. Now I can be looking to short it on some pullbacks. And I feel fairly confident about holding swings to the downside, despite the fact that we've already been falling since the turn of the year pretty much. So if I'm going to still keep looking to sell the market, I still need to see evidence of the trend being healthy. If I'm seeing signs that the trend is no longer healthy or running out of steam, well, that's the time I put on the brakes a little bit. Because again, there's always that question mark. If a trend has been continuing for a while, no problem, Yusuf, happy to help. There's always that question mark. Well, if a trend's been continuing for a while, everyone's like, okay, the trend's been continuing for a while, let me not look to sell it, because it's probably going to reverse at some point, which is true. But the way to get around that is look at how the market is trending. If the market's been trending for a while, but you're still seeing, impulsive legs, relatively small pullbacks relative to the impulsive leg, big driving push lower. If you're seeing this continuously happening, it doesn't really matter how long the trend has been happening for, because this is still a very strong sign of a healthy trending market. And looking for pullbacks in a market like this is still a good idea to do. Of course, it's not going to 100% guarantee you the continuation of the trend, but at least you can be confident that the trend is still healthy, and there's probably still at least one leg lower to follow. So if the trend has been continuing for a while, but we're still showing signs of a healthy trading market, well, yes, I'll keep looking to follow that. But if it's been trending for a while, and now I'm seeing signs of frequent pullbacks, markets becoming a lot more corrective or slowing down, maybe double bottoms are coming to the market, we're coming correct like this. Well, if I know we've been trending for a while, it's only a matter of time before we do have that bigger reversal. Maybe the market does still continue a little bit further, but I would be expecting that reversal at some point. I would expect that to be the bigger move. So in this scenario, I would back away, which is kind of what we have right now with the dollar. Still very corrective here. Before there was a lot of momentum here, so shorts look good, but now we're corrective here, only just about breaking the lows. Trend's not longer healthy again. But that could change if we do pick up the pace. So dollar, I can look to sell it if the pace does continue. If we just go and pluck the lows and just become more corrective, then I would be looking for that reversal at some point. Maybe it's still a couple of weeks away, but that's where I think the bigger move will be. So I'll be patient to wait for something like this to happen. No problem, D-Mart. Happy to help. Yusuf, market structure on dollar yen. Okay, yeah, market structure on dollar yen in fairness hasn't been great. I will give you that. Are you talking about the market structure on the 15-minute chart or the 4-hour? Because two completely different structures there. Let me know which market structure you're talking about. Is it 15 or 4-hour chart? But as a whole, to be honest, we have been pretty flat, so it's not going to be straightforward. Also, guys, make sure you do keep an eye out for Zentrix. We are looking to launch very, very soon. I will drop the link actually to the Telegram where you can find out more updates and stay in tune with what is happening. Let me just get the link. So if you are interested in learning a lot more about AI and how AI can help with your trading, whether you're looking at automated trading systems, developing your own indicators, developing your own trading strategies, using AI to validate a strategy, whether you're looking at fundamentals or technicals or sentiment analysis, if you're looking at how AI can potentially help you with that, can help you with that, definitely do keep an eye out on Zentrix project we've been working on for the past few months. Looking to launch very, very soon. So make sure you do keep a close eye on that. You can join the Telegram. It's free to join. And you can find out more updates there about launch and when it is happening. So do keep an eye on that. But there's a lot of excitement with AI globally, let alone just trading as well. So there's going to be a lot of advancements in the near future and the future as well. And it's definitely something you do want to be on that wave and taking a full advantage of that, because AI is something that can bridge the gap between retail traders and a lot of the institutional traders as well. So definitely something you do want to take full advantage of. So make sure you check out the Telegram. Like I said, completely free to join. Yusuf, 4-hour and 50. Okay, so both of them. But yeah, okay, so for the 4-hour chart, I would just say, yeah, everything is relatively bearish in terms of the market structure. We're still very consistent with a lower high. So there has been no kind of significant break of structure here. You can see I'm just mapping out the major swing highs. Probably say this one as well, even though we haven't created new lows yet. And then I'm kind of looking at this one as well, because we're still respecting that high. But yeah, the way I see it is that the low highs are still intact and we're still pushing down. We did, of course, see a rally here. Didn't quite come and test the highs there, but we're seeing a very strong reaction come back down there. The way I see it is that the major swing highs are still intact. So I do think the bigger move for dollar yen is still a push back into the lows. The way I see it as well is that this is kind of just a big consolidation, really. So you got a cleared bearish trend. Now the market's starting to come a bit more flat. Maybe we are just consolidating before we do continue the trend and see more momentum, or maybe we are going to reverse, but we need to see a strong break to the upside to confirm that. So from a 4-hour perspective, I would say the market's quite flat right now. We are still maintaining major resistance, which is the key thing. Yes, we did break through this level here, but this high, which is more significant, is still being respected. So that does still keep me bearish as a whole and still expecting a push down. In terms of the 15-minute chart, I would say we've gone from a pretty bullish market on the 15 in the higher highs and higher lows over here to now a bearish one as we have broken through the lows here. And now I would be expecting a lower high to form and a lower low. So from a 50-minute perspective, bullish, very big up move, very big push down, giving us the inverse V-shaped pattern, impulse. Now we're looking at a lower high since we have invalidated this bullish structure, sweeping this low. I would be looking at a lower high forming and then a continuation back into prior lows and then new lows forming. But this would be my area of interest, not area of interest, but that would be my idea. It might line up with the high here. It might be a little bit higher up around there, but around the 146 mark, I think would be a smart place to be looking to try and short dollar yen And this is a good idea as well because it does line up with the 4-hour bias too. The 4-hour is pretty bearish as a whole. And now that we have that momentum coming in, it's nice to see that 50-minute is now agreeing with that as well. So it's not the clearest market structure in the world. There are clearer markets out there. I would say Euro, Pound look a lot better to trade. But from a 50-minute perspective on the 4-hour, bullish trend looks like it shifted. I'm looking at lower highs and lower lows now. So I would anticipate a pullback here for dollar yen, but I would be looking to short that on the 15. But yeah, definitely as a whole, the market is a bit flat right now. And I think the main reason is because USD is quite weak at the moment, but yen is quite weak as well. Of course, yen has gained some strength recently, so that's no longer the case as much because we have had a bit of a pop to the upside. But of course, yen has been falling, and DXY, of course, has been falling as well. So you've got two weak currencies against each other, which is why dollar yen, for the most part, is pretty flat on the 4-hour chart. But hopefully that can end pretty soon. I think for now, intraday is focused on the break and retest and the push lower. So yeah, in terms of my focus today, I think it will probably just stem around dollar CAD shorts. I think that's the most reasonable opportunity. The yen pair is still away. Actually, no, pound yen as well is not too far away from an entry. That could actually be this afternoon as well. I know we're looking pretty flat right now, but all it takes is a couple bearish candles to push down, and we're back at support again. So I definitely want to keep an eye on that. But I would say dollar CAD's probably my preferred, my favorite one, just in terms of the setup and how everything's shaping up. It looks like a low high is forming. I think we've just about pulled into the 50%. Yeah, 50% of the pullback looks good. Looking for a double top in that area and some shorts back into the low is very much my expectation. So yeah, USD CAD, very bearish. Going to keep a close eye on some shorting opportunities. Like I said, silver as well. Keep an eye on some longs, but I think this is set up later in the week. If it does happen, still a long way away. UNZD, I'm not a fan of how the pullback is formed, so I need the price to become a little bit more corrective. We're still aggressively selling off, so I do need that to slow down before I do take any buys. But I am keeping an eye out for some longs. Euro yen as well. I'm keeping an eye out for some longs as well. But I do need this to become a bit more corrective as well. So kind of in the same boat as UNZD. But I do like the longs of this one. If the trend is going to continue, there is some nice confluence just below us over there as well. So that's really where the focus will be, at least for today and for the rest of the week. But that could change depending on some moves. We don't really have any major news this week, so hopefully nothing too crazy, although we have seen very crazy moves already, and it's only Tuesday. But anyway, guys, we have come to the end of the stream. I do really appreciate each and every one of you tuning in and listening to the stream. I do apologize for the mic. I have no idea what is going on with it. I'll try and have a look at it before tomorrow's stream to see what is wrong, but I ain't got Scooby, but I'll try and have that sorted for tomorrow. But yeah, guys, really appreciate you tuning in to another stream. We'll be live again tomorrow, as always, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, come say hi. Before you do leave, please do me a favor and drop a like. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure you do hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And check out the Discord so you can join the community, chat with other traders, and share ideas there as well. But really appreciate it. I didn't analyze you. Did you request your Aussie right at the start of the stream, didn't you? Yeah, you did. My bad. I'll quickly go through that. My apologies, Mo. That's so true. If I do miss out a pair, if you do request the pair, if I just completely mess it out, because of course my brain's thinking about so many different things. But if I do miss out a pair and you requested it ages ago, just drop it in the chat and remind me. Of course, as long as you're not spamming the chat like 5 messages in like a minute. But if you do mention a pair and I don't get around to it, just drop it down in the chat again. But Euro Aussie, kind of the same situation as Euro NZD. Market overall is to the upside. We're still seeing higher highs and higher lows, and I would still expect this trend to continue. It's looking pretty healthy so far. Nice impulse, nice correction, nice impulse again. The same situation with USD. The impulse is a little bit aggressive with this bearish move, not as with USD, but it's fairly aggressive. I did say I like this area here. Brief pause in the market where we consolidated, then a lot of momentum on that 4-hour candle. So this looks like a nice place for a buy. So if we can slow down, see some rejection here, maybe a nice double bottom, I think that would be a nice place for a buy, where you could anticipate potentially another higher low forming and possibly another swing back into highs. After all, if the trend is going to continue, you would expect higher highs and higher lows to continue to persist. If price goes and breaks through the low here, that's when we're back to the drawing board. Maybe we do sell off from there, but at the moment, the larger uptrend is up. We're seeing higher highs and higher lows in the 4-hour chart as well. So I think this area is definitely a nice place to consider. It's also a healthy pullback into the 0.618, I believe. Yeah, so you got some nice fib confidence there as well. So keep a close eye on 1.776. Very smart area for a buy. The price action we get there will make or break the trade. If we slow down, see some rejection, maybe a nice double bottom, that looks like a nice trade. If, of course, we bulldoze and break through, then, of course, you want to back away. But that's really the area I would focus on. And naturally targets back to the swing high at 1.797. Basically the same idea as USD, both bullish structure, now looking for a pullback and hopefully some buying opportunities. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Do apologize for getting to that very, very late. But yeah, in the future, just drop another chat and remind me. But yeah, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, drop a like and subscribe before you do leave. Does really help out the channel. Hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But until the next one, take care, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.